look at this. We got the great Dan Bongino stopping by to see us. We are live on the air, Mr. Bongino, so we're going to put your headphones on. And
Man,
this is nice of you to come by and say hi.
am I a man of my word? Can we just get that out of
Do you
I
think
told
we
you I
ever
would do it.
doubted you'd be a man of
Well,
your word?
you know people in this business, Mike. You've been in it longer than me, and some of them are kind of fakes and phonies. Some good dudes, but some of them are phonies.
The good news is we got 3 minutes, so we're not even have to hold you up very
This
long.
is cool.
So,
The only reason I couldn't do it yesterday, we were doing an op-ed for the New York Post, and I had screwed up some dates, and so I had to fix them. So I would have done it yesterday.
Well, I'm really grateful to see you, Dan Bongino. Of course, this legendary voice who's become beloved by millions of people. In fact, my producer right now is fanning herself because she's such a big fan. She's back in her office in Florida. Let me get the 2-minute perspective, because you're the go-to guy on this ridiculous security breach that nearly took the life of our president Saturday night. You pointed it out over and over again. Heads should roll. The Secret Service agency head says she's not going anywhere.
Mike, government, as you know, you've been covering it your entire career, is the only entity where they fail at the one job they had, trying to keep the guy alive. No one takes responsibility. No one's to blame. Matter of fact, everybody's praised for the wonderful job. And I'm going to tell you, this is the question you and everyone in the audience needs to be asking right now. If you had to sum it up in one little nugget, you could fit in a nutshell. Why the hell was the former president, even allowed on stage if they knew there was a threat that they couldn't locate and they knew 26 minutes in advance? Why was he even on the stage? Period.
Bingo. How did that happen? And Dan, if you looked at a movie, you'd say, well, there's a building 130 yards away. Surely the Secret Service will make sure nobody's on that building.
Mike, they train out to 1,000 yards, the counter sniper team, because a really effective sniper is good from 500 to 1,000 yards. What's your excuse? I don't understand. Where were the drones? Where was the aerial surveillance? Where was the perimeter surveillance? Why was he even on stage?
All right, so let me cut to the chase with the guy who knows this way more than most people. You got more knowledge of this in your pinky than any of us do. Was this intentional? Was this incompetence? Is it a combination of both?
No, I know these people very well on former President Trump's detail. It was I can tell you with absolute certainty, it was just incompetence. And I wish I could tell you otherwise. I wish there was some insider threat we could nail so that we get him and it doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of the incompetence happening again. This is like, why did Mike Gallagher show up late for his radio show? It's live every single day.
Yeah.
I don't have a good reason. He just slept late. That's all I can tell you. I wish I had a better excuse.
So what do we do going forward? I noticed yesterday Trump entered the arena surrounded by men that looked like right out of the Incredible Hulk.
Look like 1980s WWE.
They look like you. It looked like a bunch of Dan Bonginos around Trump. Well, hey, he might need you. But I mean, is this a DI? Is this a failure? Is this a DEI product?
That's part of it. It's not the whole thing. There's a training issue. There's a staffing issue. There's a budget issue. There's a manpower issue. There's a leadership issue. And it's not just one thing, but it is simple with regard to the site. I mean, the larger Secret Service problems are a lot of issues. With regards to the site, why was he on stage 26 minutes out? We got a threat. We can't find him. Okay, keep the president in the holding room until you figure it out.
That no-brainer. Dan Bongino, I was interviewing you before you became a superstar. It's great to see you here in person.
I'm still
Thanks for stopping by.
No,
you keep fighting the good fight.
I came down here for you.
I'm honored. You're a good man, Charlie.
Great show.
Great to see you. Take care. The great Dan Bongino joining us. The announcement of J.D. Vance, of course, is a big story, but look, also is still the nation reeling from the near assassination of Donald J. Trump. And, there better be some accountability for this. We all know it. I lived in New York City for years, and then I fled New York for Florida. And one of the reasons I went to Florida was because of people like our next guest. I mean, Florida is represented by some stellar politicians, and it doesn't get much better than Colonel Mike Waltz. This is a combat decorated Green Beret, former White House and Pentagon policy advisor, and he's chair of the House Armed Services Subcommittee on Readiness, member of the House Oversight Committee. Congressman Mike Waltz from the great state of Florida. It's an honor to meet you in person here on Media Row. How are you?
Great to be with you, and always great to talk to another free Florida convert.
Free Florida. I think they're going to change all the signs.
They have.
I love that.
State legislature changed all the signs. When you drive down 95 and enter Florida, it says, "Welcome to the free state of Florida."
The secret is out. I think the country has figured it out. I want to get some of your thoughts about the sounds and the sights of this great convention, and it's so far so good. But you're on oversight. We got to talk about Mayorkas, who has doubled down in defense of the Secret Service director, a lady who said she's not going anywhere. although she does say the buck stops here, I just talked to Dan Bongino, the former Secret Service agent,
Yep.
the Great American Voice, who said, inexcusable that this happened Saturday. There's no explanation for it. It should never have happened. Heads should roll. Can you give me, Congressman Mike Waltz, your perspective on the events of Saturday night?
Yeah, I talked to a number of agents the next day. They're angry, they're upset, they're frustrated. Why? Because they repeatedly asked Secret Service headquarters, which works for DHS in Mayorkas, for more resources for Trump, and they were repeatedly denied. I tweeted that I have very reliable sources. I'm reading it right now, telling me there have been repeated requests for stronger Secret Service protection for President Trump, denied by Secretary Mayorkas. He was read that on air on CNN, and he said the congressman's irresponsible. That's false.
Called you irresponsible.
And said that is false, which is essentially calling the agents.
That's right. He's not calling you a liar. He's calling the agents a liar.
I'm being a voice for them. And here's what I'm confident so far happened. We'll have the hearing next week on oversight with Cheadle. But they tried to treat Trump like a normal president. They said, you know what? We budgeted for the standard package, whether it's Jimmy Carter sitting in an old folks home or Trump, who multiple residences, rallies every week. And oh, by the way, has Iranian threats against not only him, but several of his key cabinet officials, in addition to the normal domestic threats. But they said, we're not going to take that into account. We're not going to pay for all this extra stuff for Trump for his rallies. What does that mean for his small detail? That means they have to rely on local law enforcement. And God bless our cops. We love them, but they're not trained to the same level. And that's why that building, I think at the end of the day, was left unsecure, and it's inexcusable.
It's inexcusable that Alejandro Mayorkas has a job, but let's listen to him together. This is yesterday on ABC News, expressing full and unwavering support in the director of the United States Secret Service, Congressman Waltz. Let's listen.
Sorry, Mr. Secretary, on that, does the president have confidence in the Secret Service director after Saturday's failures?
I have 100% confidence in the director of the United States Secret Service. I have 100% confidence in the United States Secret Service. And what you saw on stage on Saturday with respect to individuals putting their own lives at risk for the protection of another is exactly what the American public should see every single day. It is what I indeed do.
Congressman, that's a disgrace. That's
disgraceful. It is, but it's par for the course with this administration. Number one, he's conflating the heroic actions of Trump's close-in detail that body bunkered them and put their lives on the line with a leadership failure at his headquarters. Number two, par for the course in terms of zero accountability. You're going to hear this week a lot about Afghanistan, a lot about that disgraceful withdrawal, Gold Star families who haven't gotten the answers that they deserve, but even simple things like Biden's Secretary of Defense, who didn't bother to tell the president that he was under general anesthesia and out of action.
Correct.
I mean, a man with his finger on the nuclear button. Zero accountability across the board.
And that's what the American people are yearning for, just a little bit of accountability. There are Republicans who've lost their jobs in the blink of an eye for far less than some of the things the shenanigans that have happened. But again, buck stops here. In the Biden administration, they're not real big on accountability, Congressman.
Well, it's coming. Come November. You're going to see a lot of Donald Trump leaning across the table and saying you're fired. Because we could walk across the agencies and their lack of results or horrific results for the American people, and the bureaucrats just keep collecting their paycheck every 2 weeks.
Mike Gallagher.
I am so relieved that Congressman Mike Waltz says that there's going to be accountability for the events of July 13th in Butler, Pennsylvania. Can I share with you what I'm reading and you're hearing about the would-be assassination Saturday night? And I get I start to shake with anger when you get the facts revealed to you. Check this out. The would-be killer, the killer, he murdered an innocent man in the crowd who was shielding his family as the bullets were flying towards Donald Trump. He was spotted at least twice by cops, 26 minutes before he rained bullets on the Pennsylvania rally crowd. According to PXI, an affiliate in Pennsylvania. You got to hear their local reporting. The Beaver County Emergency Services Unit which traveled to the Butler County, Pennsylvania Trump rally from the neighboring Pittsburgh suburb, noticed the would-be assassin on the roof, took a picture of him, and reported it at around 5:45. That was 26 minutes before he began firing. Now, I'm reading here from the New York Post. Incredibly, not only did he manage to avoid being confronted despite sticking out like a sore thumb, he secured his rooftop perch right under the noses of a local police sniper team stationed inside the building. Now, I said to Mark Davis this morning, this thing stinks to high heaven. And Mark was dubious and skeptical of my response. I'm sorry. I think I'm speaking for a whole lot of people who think this thing reeks of a massive, massive failure. And as Dan Bongino told us, certainly incredible incompetence, but I fear it's more than that. I fear it's deeper than just incompetence. How could this happen? How did this happen? So let me open up my phone lines, 800-655-MIKE, and I want to find out if you agree with me that there's something really off here. There's something really wrong, and I fear it's more than just an incompetent protective detail for Donald Trump. It seems bigger than that. It seems more nefarious than that. The police spotted this guy, and you know me, I absolutely admire and respect and defend law enforcement. I'm not trying to make this an anti-cop narrative, but you tell me a guy, a 20-year-old punk, this loser degenerate, walks into a Trump rally, climbs up on a roof that's 130 yards away from where Trump was standing. Everybody sees him, and nothing is done about it until he fires the fatal shots and nearly kills Donald Trump. Give me a break. This is not just incompetence. There's something else going on here. And again, you know me, I'm not a tinfoil hat wearing guy. I don't like conspiracy theories. Something about this reeks. Something about this is wildly off. 800-655-MIKE. 800-655-6453. Jeff's in Michigan. Jeff, welcome to Milwaukee. What do you think?
Hello, Mike. I was curious, and the reporting of the shooter, the 26 minutes before the shooting, who did they report to? Does anybody know?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, the counter sniper team, they were talking about it. There was, as a watch post, they were radioing in that they see this guy on the roof. They secured. Yeah, there's something wrong here, Jeff.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really like someone really obviously dropped the ball. That's what we need to find out. Who's that person?
You better believe it. And as we talk about the January 6th committee, there better be a monstrous investigation over this. There better be some accountability, the likes of which we've never seen before. Bill, you're up on the Mike Gallagher Show. How you doing, sir?
Hi, Bill from Honor, Michigan.
Hi, Bill.
Wonderful show.
Thank you.
I'll tell you what, I'm so surprised, even though they got the metal detectors and things like that, that they don't have bulletproof polycarbonate shrouding any politician, especially Trump. And, they should have something comparable to the Pope Mobile for protection.
But here's the challenge to that, and thank you for your kind words, Bill. I appreciate you very much. Here's the challenge to that. The challenge is President Trump likes to be as close to the people as he can. This guy is often referred to as the people's president. This guy is often referred to as a man of the people, the people's billionaire, if you will. And at the end of the day, this is the challenge that the Secret Service face. They have to deal with protecting a guy who likes to be in and among the people. I've seen examples where he's been at rallies where he wanted barricades removed so he could get closer to the crowd. And ultimately, that's something that they're going to have to contend with going forward. But let's face it, they better keep this guy safe. They better protect him like nobody's business. We need this man safe. secure and protected so that he can get reelected on November 5th in a landslide. You know, one of the prevailing themes here has been the assassination attempt. Everybody is talking about the spiritual aspect about it. A lot of us believe that it was a God thing, that President Trump avoided being killed by the would-be assassin's bullets. Of course, you know, and of course somebody was killed. This Corey Compatore, who was shielding his wife and his children, Trump supporter, a man of God, a faith-filled man, beloved member of his community. He was murdered by this monstrous 20-year-old cretin. There is evil all over. I mean, there's evil. I say this a lot on the show. There's a woman named Linda on social media who actually posted this publicly. Her comment went viral. She wrote, "Damn if he didn't die. Well, at least one supporter did. I'll take what I can get. My heart goes out to the family of the shooter. Know that he died doing what needed to be done. Hopefully someone will accomplish the task before we vote." Now, that's a woman. I'm not going to read her last name because I haven't verified it or vetted it, but her name is Linda with her picture. And of course, ironically, she's got an avatar that says love with a big heart. And that woman is clearly anything but love. She's the antithesis of love. To post something that vile on social media, for people to actually express out loud the deepest, darkest, innermost ugliness of their rotten soul. And that's pure evil. Obviously, Linda is an evil, evil woman. And I hope the Secret Service keeps tabs on her. But at this point, I don't know what to believe about the Secret Service. I mean, now I'm seeing pictures of the ladder that the shooter used that wasn't a retractable ladder. It was a big, heavy industrial ladder that he put up along the side of the building and climbed up with evidently a long gun. And the police lost visual ID on this guy 3 times. To me, this defies incompetence. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but something is wrong with this. Something doesn't add up. The Secret Service director, this Kimberly Cheadle, who's described as a close personal friend of the First Lady, Jill Biden, says they didn't have anybody on the roof overlooking Donald Trump's speech and President Trump because the roof was sloped and she was worried that maybe the agents would slip. I want to play this for you again, courtesy of ABC News.
Should that roof have been secure, period?
That building in particular has a sloped roof at its highest point. And so, you know, there's a safety factor that would be considered there, that we wouldn't want to put somebody up on a sloped roof. And so, you know, the decision was made to secure the building from inside.
That's stunning to me. I mean, I'm a layman. I don't know law enforcement, but I know a lot of cops. I know a lot of men and women who have been on roofs, sloped roofs. People, you know, security and Secret Service, they're on sloped roofs all the time. I believe that the roofs that the sniper for the Secret Service was on, that was a sloped roof. But this position defies any logical explanation. Now, that leads people to say, we shouldn't have any females as Secret Service agents. You got a female director of the Secret Service who has no business being in that position. She's probably there because of her gender and not because of her qualifications. In fact, my buddy Mark Davis this week actually said, I'm not sure women should be Secret Service agents. You got to be big and burly and tough. Of course, that leads a whole different argument down the rabbit hole. Should women be cops? Should women be firefighters? And frankly, I appreciated the message from Eric Trump, one of President Trump's sons, who who flat out defends the female Secret Service agents on his father's security detail.
The people on that stage love him. They would take a bullet for him, and
obviously they ran right in front,
and they demonstrated that. One of the females on the stage, she was with me for 3 years. I know everything about her. She would take a bullet for me. She would take a bullet for him, as courageous as they come. Same with everybody else that was around him. The head of his detail was on that stage. Believe me, the last thing that they wanted was that to happen, and they did all the right things. Now take that ecosystem that travels with him. They show up at a rally, they get up on stage. They're watching for people, making sure they don't run up with a knife or try and tackle the president or do something else that's stupid, throw something at him. They're not watching rooftops 130 yards away, 140 yards away. There was a breakdown with whatever happened there. Is it? I don't even want to guess. I don't want to speculate. But they let somebody with a gun within 130 yards of the former president of the United States and very likely the future president of the United States. And there's got to be accountability for that. There has to be accountability.
There's going to be a massive investigation over the breakdown, the failures that led to the assassination attempt on President Trump's life. But I got to turn it over to you right now. 1-800-655-MIKE, 800-655-6453. Again, I am not prone to conspiracy theories, but this doesn't make sense. None of this adds up. And I don't even know that gross incompetence can describe this. I don't know that gross incompetence explains it. There seems to me to be something deeper than that at play. Here's a text message from Tampa Bay. The Secret Service, where you're expected to take a bullet for your protectee, but you better not slip and fall on the job. We value safety here. That's what this Cheadle character is essentially saying. We don't want to have Secret Service agents on a sloped roof because they might slip and fall, but yet they're expected to take a bullet for the former president? What a ridiculous explanation she gave. She's the director of the United States Secret Service. Here's a text from Chicago. Mike, I'm a roofer by trade. The roof in question has a 212 pitch. It's less steep than a wheelchair ramp. The idea that it is dangerous of falling due to the roof pitch is absolutely ridiculous. This is completely insane. And I want to see what you make of it all. 800-655-MIKE. Here's Dave in Carson City, Nevada. Dave, welcome to Milwaukee and the Republican National Convention. How are you?
Namaste, Mike. Hey, I just wanted to say, namaste. Good day to you. This whole thing with the pitch of the roof and this whole analogy from the Secret Service, this runs much deeper than the roof. This is part and parcel of the nanny state that pervades and permeates these woke-ridden agencies in the government now that are trying to micromanage every aspect of our lives. And that's the ideology and mentality that went into the notion that the roof was pitched too steeply and it was too perilous to post a Secret Service agent.
I mean, that it's an interesting theory you have, or an interesting concept. I think you're in the weeds on. It doesn't have to be this complicated. The men and women of the Secret Service are expected to save the man's life and protect him from this happening, and they didn't. They failed. They failed miserably. And this is a guy who almost lost his life. And again, I don't even like thinking what we would be talking about today if the unthinkable had occurred Saturday night. It's inexcusable, and this woman, the director of the Secret Service, ought to be fired immediately. She should resign in disgrace. That's the only appropriate solution to this. And that's only one step. But again, I wonder if you agree with me that this is beyond gross incompetence. They can't be this incompetent. It must be more than that. It has to be deeper than that. Here is Jim in Scottsdale, Arizona. Jim, you're on the Mike Gallagher Show. Welcome to Media Row here at the RNC.
Thank you, Mike. Hey,
yes, sir.
Are we going to talk about the officer that actually took out the shooter? And there's stories. I haven't really had time to really research it as much as I'd like to. But is he Was he actually arrested by the FBI and let go by his department? And is the story that well, what I understand is that he didn't follow orders to stand down, and he had the shooter in his crosshairs, so to speak. No, not for not following orders to stand down. He was ordered to stand down, and no, that's what That's what I've heard. I haven't, and I'm just asking you: is that what is?
Here's Mary Ellen in Chicago. Hi, Mary Ellen.
Hi, Mike.
Hey.
I just had, that Secret Service director needs to go. I mean, she's saying that the roof has too much of a pitch. Okay, the snipers were on a rooftop that had a bigger pitch, and then she's saying, that the Secret Service were inside. How come they weren't outside, watching and guarding who could have been climbing up there and looking around? And it's ridiculous. Why?
I mean, nobody's buying it, Mary Ellen. Nobody's accepting this. Nobody's buying this load of crap. I mean, and I can't believe the Secret Service director is attempting to make that argument. She's coughed up this excuse that we didn't have agents on the roof because it was sloped and it would have been too dangerous. Clearly the building wasn't secured, and they let this 20-year-old get on a massive ladder. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous, and it's going to go down as one of the great scandals of our time. I'm sure I'm going to infuriate people by saying this. This is a lot worse than January 6th. This is a million times worse than January 6th. So, hey, Liz Cheney, what are you doing lately? You got some time on your hands? Why don't you do a July 13th committee?